Let's get into it. 1, 2, 3. Just give me some more. Have it in. Some more. Just give me some more.
Why, hello, and welcome to my Whiskey Den, your favorite public access whiskey review show where craft whiskey is king. Thank you, everyone, for being here this evening. We have a wonderful show set up for us this evening. We're going to be talking about our trip to Distill America. Give me a second. Let me bring the Robinsons back on there for a second. We all got a chance to experience it about a week and a half, 2 weeks ago. And I wanted to bring everyone back for a second to kind of go over the new venue, what people found interesting, and it was some people's first times at the event. And I wanted to see what everyone thought and how the experience went for them. Oh, well, geez, I see Fred out there. He's hiding out there, and thanks for Fred, obviously, for putting the whole thing on. We appreciate that. Absolutely. And it was always good to see you there. So you were all over the place. He's a man of the people that day. He's all over. Before we go any further, Mike, do you want to tell our lovely fans about the Bar Cart Co-op?
I'd be happy to tell the lovely fans about the Bar Cart Co-op. All right. So the Bar Cart Co-op is a collection of friends who create content for the whiskey and other distilled spirits public. Amongst the shows, Distillers Talk, which is the oldest show. New episodes arrive at the end of the work week. It's a conversation between people from distilleries and distillery adjacent, getting into the weeds with their interviews. Now, if Distillers Talk is not nerdy enough for you, this is the one to go to. One Piece at a Time Distilling Institute. This show is where Alan Bishop answers your questions, any questions you have about distilling. He also puts them to the test, and that is grains, mash bills, equipment, and methodology. New episodes come out randomly, so subscribe and be surprised when they come out. The silkiest and sexiest duo on YouTube, Kevin Rose and Drew Crawley. They mix the love of music with the love of whiskey, and there have been musicians, writers, distillery folks, just whiskey fans, and several two-part episodes put out for all of your enjoyment. It releases every Wednesday on all of your platforms, including YouTube. And because Alan doesn't sleep, and maybe because he doesn't want you to sleep, if you have Ghosts, you have everything, which is a show about the spirits and paranormal among us, as well as the unexplained. Subscribe for this one on Spotify, and their third season is getting going. So there's 2 seasons in the can, as they say, that you can catch up on and listen to. Also, going back to Bar Cart Co-op, on the YouTube and Facebook pages, you'll find information about upcoming and past special shows, which happen about every quarter. There have been blind tastings, distiller panels, discussions of special collaborations, and uses of unique grains. It has lots of educational episodes for your enjoyment.
That is true. And actually, not one of those, but we do have a blind tasting coming up next week. It's our blind corn challenge. It's 4 samples that are all American corn whiskey, which I don't want to say is an overlooked section of the whiskey industry, but it gets glanced over, and most people only remember Old Crow, which not bad, but there's a lot out there, and I think you're going to try something a little bit different and more exciting next week. So stop in for that. But we're back to Distill America, which is a festival that had over 80 booths in Madison, Wisconsin, on May 20th. It was held at Breeze Field, which for me was a big expansion from even last year at, I forgot which club it was, the Sportsman Club, I think it was, but and before that it was at the Edgewater, where it was an enclosed place. So with the size of the field, there was a heck of a lot more room and seemed more spaced out, even though it was the same amount of people that was at the last one and the same amount of booths. So I saw there being a massive room for expansion, or the ability to. which I thought was neat, kind of right off the bat, where I didn't think there was going to be a space where you could keep the price point of the ticket at that level and still be able to expand possibly. But you guys all came from a different state to attend the event, which I appreciate, and thank you very much all for traveling to it. But starting out at the event, let's start with Ewalds. What was the first thing? What was something that you found, I was going to say, really interesting when you were there, or the most surprising thing that you were there just by attending? Not necessarily a spirit, but just about the event itself.
The venue was really cool. Being on a soccer field, it was nice soft turf to stand there for hours and walk around, and the vastness. It never felt, even after the VIP hour was done, it never felt crowded at all. There was plenty of room to just chill out, walk around. I mean, the venue was great. That was the biggest thing for me off the bat.
Mitch, Mike, the new venue? What did you think of the space for it?
My only comparison is to the Edgewater, which the Edgewater was fantastic as far as the venue because it was great. You were there, you could go up to your room, take a 20-minute nap if you had to, take a quick break. You're inside the whole time because it's February in Wisconsin. But I thought this venue, there's so much room for growth at this venue. I thought that the venue itself, location, everything else was great. We were blessed with absolutely beautiful weather. So yeah, no, I like the venue itself. I thought, and they did a really good job of utilizing that space, throwing some games and other stuff, but you just had room if you just want to walk around, and just kind of calm down and get your bearings. You could walk away from all the booths of everything.
So yeah, I loved the venue. Morgan and I were joking about what would happen if it rained before we got up there. And I was like, okay, so let's just take our bathing suits. And if it rains, I'm just going to be out there in like water shoes and my bathing suit with my hand over my glass being like, so what are you serving today? And there won't be many lines. Right. So that was my, that was my only fear, and it didn't rain. So like, I thought it was amazing.
And Neil and Melanie, you got to come up. What did you think of the venue itself?
I thought it was pretty nice as far as having, there was seating, if you wanted to go up in the stands, since it was a soccer stadium, there was some undercover, so you could get in the shade if you wanted to. Plenty of room to move around. We've been to a lot of festivals where there were long lines, so there weren't very many lines anywhere that we dealt with. So I thought it was very well done.
Yeah. Well, and that was, my wife Sherry was talking about it. And we were talking about it being the same amount of booths. I'm like, well, there's a 30-yard distance between this row and this row, where at the Edgewater it was a 30-foot distance. I'm like, so you just got a little bit more spaced out, and you got some nice room to grow with it. I hadn't been to that venue in quite a while, probably about 10 years or so, and I like the old field time look and kind of feel to it because it was from like the 20s. It was originally a baseball field, and they like repurposed it. And relatively close to downtown. So for a lot of places, somewhat walking distance from a few hotels, and Ubering was not a problem. That's what we did to get around, in and out. So that really wasn't an issue. But no, I like the venue, and I'm gonna stick on the venue thought for one second, is because I'm just gonna jump into the food for a minute. It was a whole lot of variety of food, not just a lot of food. It was a whole lot of variety of food. I was surprised, and I'm just gonna say it now because I was excited. They had all you can eat frog legs, and that is not something that you would see most places.
Frog legs,
huh?
Cajun frog legs to boot.
Yeah, they were great.
They were very good.
Fantastic.
Yeah, I wouldn't have expected that there, and I haven't had them, but you do have them in the Midwest. But that was fantastic. They had some hush puppies that had honey. Exactly, Morgan. I know she remembered those because that was one of her favorite things. Yeah, it basically they had 8 different tables, and there was I don't want to say weird range, but a different variety. I wouldn't say that there was a theme to it per se.
So I felt like every table had a theme, but every table had a different theme, right? Because they had like a charcuterie table, kind of that southern table, Mediterranean table, like a sandwich table.
Yeah.
It was just a neat variety. I was going to say it was going to be something that hit for somebody in between all of that. And to be honest, for an event around here, it was a little more than what I was expecting with variety. A lot of times it might be a lot of food, but it's a little safer in what they choose. Or I don't know, home cooked food more so sometimes, but I kind of like where they went out with that part of it. So,
Yeah, I thought the spicier food was a bold choice for a tasting event. However, the seasoned people know to go to Natural Spirits and have the cantaloupe cream liqueur to reset your palate. Because we had that spicy chicken, and my friend Matt, who went with me, he's like, we got to go get some of that cantaloupe cream liqueur now. And of course, it killed the spicy chicken. And as did he was substituting the old fashioned cream liqueur. And apparently that was doing the trick as well. But yeah.
But I'm always love the fact that this now, rather than being out at like a certain section at a time, was food the entire time. That besides the ticket alone, it is a big help at keeping yourself stable and maybe skipping a meal someplace as well too if you time it right. But more just keeping yourself stable, because for me there was a lot of drinks and a lot of sampling. So Mitch, you're down in the bottom corner. What was something that surprised you and kind of was there anything that blew your doors off?
So the thing that I liked the most, that I thought I was going to hate the most, was the hibiscus liqueur. I don't remember who made it.
Wandering Spirits.
Thank you. I was like, I have had hibiscus in so many things, and every time I've been kind of let down. And I had that, and I was just like, oh my God, they've all been trying to make this. That was, to me, like the biggest surprise. But that being said, also, they had Southern Star Spirits there out of North Carolina. I'm from North Carolina, so I was like, oh my God, we're making whiskey, thank God. I went there, and their double rye was solidly good, like bordering amazing. It was absolutely delicious. Like I was like, oh, I'll get one while I'm here. And they're like, we're from North Carolina. And I was like, oh, I won't get one while I'm in Wisconsin.
Well, they're working towards that. If you stay in for like a couple years, it helps you jump up the tier for getting into Wisconsin. So coming to the event helps in that matter. Neil, Melanie, what were some things that you guys tried that was there anything you guys had that stood out above the rest?
Well, the famous cantaloupe liqueur that's already been mentioned, and the canned cocktails. I was very, very pleased with both. It was just a great variety. We're so used to all the Kentucky stuff, and it was really nice to get Wisconsin and Illinois and all the different areas, and everybody was so nice and, kind of like, okay, we're from Kentucky. What can you do for us?
That's a good way to start it.
Yeah, I was very, very much amazed at the things that a lot of the distilleries in Wisconsin and around the areas that we can't get to in Kentucky. I was just amazed. It was very, very good. I spent a little bit of time at the Tattersall booth. They had like 20 or 30 bottles of stuff to try, and I'm trying to remember, there was something that I went there for to begin with, and after trying everything, I can't remember exactly what it was, but something that was pretty good.
Coconut.
Maybe the coconut, yeah. Toasted coconut. Was it toasted coconut jalapeno or something like that?
There's some weird ones in there that I wouldn't have thought either, that all of a sudden you're like, I guess I'm down with this.
It was very good.
Yeah.
I know they had I tried their single malt, and it had a different feel and texture to everything than what I was expecting out of it. It wasn't bad. It was neat. I liked it. Just a little bit different. So, Dave, Adina, what were a couple of your standouts? I have some hidden ones in mind as well too. Just some things that popped up.
A couple of them we've got. Go ahead.
I think, one of the big ones was the J. Henry rye that's coming out. That blew me away. But the other thing that I really enjoyed was just some of the different things that you could try there. Like I think the company was called a Wilden, and they had some Genevers that were just spectacular.
Something you don't run across a lot.
Right.
Yep. The thing that I thought was really cool was Tom from Wollersheim was there, and he had a vertical rye yeast experiment. So 3 expressions, same mash bill, just with the yeast swapped out. And you could go and try all 3, and they were just same mash bill, same aging, same everything, just different yeast. The neatest thing. I mean, really cool.
And it was neat to see how I thought the third one, which wasn't the first one was their original mash bill that they always use. The second one, a little fruitier or a little different fruit kick to it. And the third one, I kind of liked. It had a little more of a spice kick on the third one that I was like, ooh, I'm like, just from changing the yeast, that had a neat little white black pepper kind of kick at the back end that I wasn't getting off the other ones. That was one of the things I thought was very neat too.
That was fun. I mean, something you don't get a chance to do hardly ever. That's just really neat. They brought something like that. And Tom, being the passionate distiller that he is, was really, willing to, spend any time you wanted to spend with him to talk about what was going on there.
Did not feel rushed at all. Everything was plenty of time. Yeah.
Really, all the distillers at the event, plenty willing to spend all the time that you wanted to spend with them. Every one of them. Just,
Well, and with the space, I think that it felt more of an ability to do that. Where in the tighter space before, you did feel a little backed up at points. Where this, you give people, sometimes just that extra 5 feet is enough to back up off of someone. You don't have to be right on top of them and make everyone relax in a situation where it doesn't feel like someone's hovering over you trying to, excuse me, or please, sir, can I have some more behind you,
So all that space too, like I never went to a booth with a person at it. My entire time, like I'd just go to where there wasn't someone and I could like step back and see like, oh, there's no one here. I'm going here because I wanted to talk to the people, and pick their brain.
That is a nice thing about that is being able to go to them. And that's usually what I do is I'll sit back because there's a flow. There'll be a bunch of people that will hit up a booth and then you'll flow to another and all of a sudden it'll slow down. That's kind of when you want to sneak in because you get more personal time. And I love that about the event. Let's see here. This was another one I know some people mentioned. I know it might have been Kevin's excitement of the evening. He was pretty excited about
that was one of mine. I bought one of those the next morning.
And
was that the St. George?
Yes.
Yeah, that stuff's fantastic. Yeah.
That was crack cocaine.
Uh-huh.
As much as I love trying the other stuff from St. George, it was nice to finally try Baller and everything. And then somebody said, "Oh, you should try this one," and I tried it. And we look at each other like, "What the hell?"
Yeah,
that's so good.
Yeah. And I like the Baller when I had that first. I was because I've been wanting to try that, and it's one of those things where I couldn't find it around here. And for those who don't know, St. George Spirits, one of the I don't want to say original craft spirits producers, but they go all the way back to 82. They're right in the beginning of things at a certain point where they kind of kicked things off for a lot of people. And I like, giving kudos to people who started the headway for doing it. Yeah. And they were one of them. And when you start tasting some of the stuff, you can understand why. Because that was, it's neat to see people's faces and they change and you're like, oh shit, what the hell happened? Yeah. People on the other side are like, yes, that's what I wanted to see. That's a bottle sold. That's a bottle sold.
So they need to somehow find a way to get something near there where you can buy all the bottles that you tried. Right? Like, I know they don't really want to run it through a store, which is understandable, but if they could just get like a temporary liquor license or something like that to run a package store for 2 days, they would be the distributor's biggest customer for about 2 days and then shut down.
I know, Fred had said that, really the problem, not the problem, but the obstacle or hurdle is the state of Wisconsin itself. But I had an idea about how they could handle that. If they picked a couple of distributors and they set up a shop, they could say, okay, distributors, we want you to do this at a slight discount, but you're getting all the distribution of these for 2 days. We'll do it for the day of the event, and day after is when this thing would be open. So the distributors would be there and have a state representative or state person that is at the store where you can buy stuff, and you can buy it at not to undercut anybody else in the area on anything, but also keeping in mind, look, distributor, you're going to take a little cut because money's going to charity, but you get the exclusive rights for 2 days on this, and then you get to gauge on whether or not you can actually sell this stuff and go after it. And I think it could do that. However, we know that people are stupid and it's not going to happen.
Laws around booze are not the most useful.
Yeah.
to the community.
Change the word booze to something else and they'll vote it in. So
that's true. All right. So hold on, I dropped my list. I gotta come back. I'm not gonna remember all of it. So we got one of mine, which was the St. George. That was one that was kind of a surprise for me. I got a couple other ones. Great Lakes Dirty Helen, because I hadn't had it before. I did like that one, and I thought it would, but it's one of the ones I hadn't gotten a chance to taste. I did. I'm going to be honest, we did some stuff with Great Lakes when we first started the channel, and I don't want to say we stepped away, but we try to bring everybody in to a certain point and just don't want to stay as focused on like one section. But over the time frame, they've also had a couple more releases, and I really enjoy what they're doing. It hasn't changed, and I think they even had some type of vodka that I was not prepared for. That was like a combo flavored vodka that I was like, holy cow!
Honey lemon? Did they bring that?
Yes, that was it. And I was like, I was not expecting that. But the whole flavored vodka scene, I was not prepared for there. The Hellfire from Blom Brothers, which is habanero in there, that is hot. That's got some heat to it. That's not. I don't want to say it's gonna blow your mind or anything, but it does. It brings a little heat to the table when you're tasting it. There's a couple other ones. I didn't think I'd like that many vodkas, but then there was Blue Ice was the name of the company, which does sound. Yeah, I was gonna say sounds a little iffy, but I was gonna say it makes huckleberry vodka, and that with a lemonade was fantastic.
Yes,
that was my
blue ice potato was the other purchase that I made the next morning, because the only huckleberry bottles I found at a Woodman's, which I did not know how large a Woodman's was, or at least this one we went to, and how much of a puzzle it was to get through it. But the only huckleberry bottles that I could get were 175s. Well, I know, but one, there's a budget limit, and two, it's like that's a big freaking bottle, because it wasn't even a different shape bottle; it was the same bottle blown up. And the price wasn't bad, but it's like, so I bought the potato vodka, which was good. It was very good.
I agree with you, but that lemonade one, I didn't taste the vodka and the huckleberry lemonade at all.
That was crazy good.
It would just drop some ice cubes in it, and that's your afternoon. And I could do that several times. And there's always something like that I have. I was not expecting it to be vodka at this one. That was the one that I had. I was like, holy shit, this has mass appeal. This is just doesn't make me excited. Everyone who has this should be happy. Let's see, a couple other ones. The yeast series that you mentioned. Traverse City cherries. They had just the cherries in the old fashioned. Those were delicious. And they had there's a new series they're coming out with that has 3 finished series, a port, a sherry, and oh my god, I can't remember the other one. But that's the one I had, and it was actually really good. So I was pleased to see them coming out with a new kind of section of lineup or new kind of style or finishing process to what they were doing at Traverse, because I've liked what they're doing, but I've always wanted to see them kind of pop that next level with something. And so let's see what else they have. Northern Waters had a peated bourbon, subtle peat, not like slap you around peat, which I found neat because it gave you just enough to make you play and think about it, what you were having or what was put in it, to be like, well, it's got an edge of medicinal. It does have a little peat, but it was blended really well. So those are some of the ones for me that kind of popped out of it. Were there anything else that you guys had that you remember just being fond of? Yeah, Mike, you got a list. You go.
I have a list. But stepping back Northern Waters, because I ran into Peter a couple times and he wasn't around, wasn't at the booth. Finally, I go back there and I said, okay, imagine I'm a tourist coming through your area. What am I likely to buy, or what are you likely to steer me to? Because I want to try the stuff that he makes, for lack of a better term, for tourists, because they're like, hey, we're buying stuff, we're going camping, buying this, going camping. So he said, well, try this. It was a cranberry liqueur. I don't know if anyone tried that. Cranberry gin liqueur. So I tried this and I was like, oh, wait a minute. It's not very cranberry. It's a little cherry. And he's like, yeah. And I said, you know what? I bet you this would be kind of good in a Manhattan. And so he turns to the guys with me. He's like, make a note of that. And then they go, oh, screw it. So they grabbed one of their bourbons and they made one out, and then they made a Manhattan with that out really quick. And then, so we tried it and he's like, well, I guess we're going to start making these now, which is cool. And I do really hope he does, because it was a Manhattan that you would be like, what in the heck is this in here? It's really good and different. But I got to try some of the touristy stuff, which I got kind of a kick out of. That was fun going through to his. But some of the others, like Jay Henry, finally got to meet Liz Henry, but it was brief because everybody's trying to meet Liz Henry, so somebody else jumped in there. But then it's like, would you like to try the rye? And it was written on the bottle. There was no label. It's like, well, this has to be good. I mean, one Henry, and two, it's got handwriting on a bottle, so that that's all the good stuff. That really stood out. The Dirty Helen. Now I got to try to find that Dirty Helen rye, because that was really, and towards the end of the night, how it just cut through it. I kept thinking, all right, Dirty Helen needs to meet Maddie Gladden, because I think the two of them, one, would have gotten along in person, and two, I think that the two bottles side by side would look pretty sweet.
I'd say they're completely similar, but yeah, the histories are very kind of close.
Yeah. And honestly, went to Wallersheim was the first booth, which was kind of funny because he went to Wallersheim for the first booth the last time I went to Distill America. Tried 3 ryes which was great. Got to try the Cocard brandy, which I really liked. And weirdly, that old fashioned in a can, getting to try that, it's like, oh, I see why you're selling the heck out of these. These are really good. So we made several trips to Wallersheim to go back, because along with cantaloupe cream liqueur, a little shot of that the old fashioned in a can, that kind of lightened you up a little bit. Yeah, it was pretty good.
That was the one that my wife was on an old-fashioned fact-finding mission of who was going to have the best one made or mixed or in a can. Yeah. And yes, it came back to Wallersheim, and I was like, well, that makes sense, because last year that was like the surprise of the day for me. Last year was that can.
Yeah.
Ooh. So the wild thing to me was just, I would walk up and be like, I have no idea who you are, what you do, or anything like that. That looks interesting, though. Can you tell me a little bit about it? And can I try it? And very low amount of reps compared to owners, distillers, or somebody else who really had a vested interest and knew a lot about what was going on, which was awesome, but also like very distracting because you're like, this is delicious, I'm listening. This is delicious, I'm listening. This is delicious, I'm listening. So that was.
I thought most people there were very knowledgeable.
Oh yeah.
Regarding food.
Yeah.
I think at that one I don't want to say there's very few rent-a-reps. I think is the best way to put that. There's not very many rent-a-reps at that event. There's a few. Yeah, I saw that. I saw that flash. I saw that flash, Mike. I saw it. There
were a few. There were
a
very
few.
very few.
But guess what? Sometimes you need a rent-a-rep to have something there. So you got to be okay with that, you know?
Yeah.
And that's just
the
way it
one
is.
one of the people working
Sure.
at Penelope
Yes.
told somebody that because they said, well, what do you like? I don't like whiskey. Well, okay.
Good place to be.
Yeah,
Yeah.
not the pitch word for what you're doing right now. Yes, there is.
You lie.
Correct.
You
Lie.
Sit on a throne.
That's
of
all it
lies.
takes. Just
Yeah.
lie. What's your favorite? Choose the least popular one so you can make that one disappear. That's how you do it.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah.
Well,
Sorry.
and that's exactly why I like it Fridays, because 90% of the time you get to actually learn something or talk to someone that cares about what's going on.
Yes.
With
Most
the
of them
product.
were great.
Yeah.
And they were the people. I mean, they weren't just a rep. They were the people. They were involved somehow. And they were very good conversationalists, including the people from Rabbit Hole.
Yeah, just throw that out there.
when they were hit with the hard journalism question from somebody else.
Yeah.
I finally got to try some Rabbit Hole. I live in Kentucky and I've only had Rabbit Hole once before, and I got to try like all the new things they put out in the last 4 years.
So what
That was
was
nice.
anything in there that was exciting for them? I remember for me it was one of their finishes. I think it was the sherry finish that
That was my favorite the last time I went 4 years ago. That was my favorite this time.
fair enough.
Okay.
But
Well, I was gonna say sorry, I was trying to keep up with the chat. I kind of lost a finger there. That's okay. What's everyone else out in the chat having right now to drink? I'm sipping on a little mixture that a rye and a deep. If you're too cool for just a normal ticket, you can bring your own booze you make, like Adina did, and make cocktails while you're at the event, and then tell the distillers about them. And you know what's even better about that? Is they like them. So who did you end up giving some spruce liqueur to, or creating a cocktail off of, Adina?
Well, I did one with the Dirty Helen. Dirty Helen?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
the
with
Great Lakes. Yeah, the Great Lakes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You like that. And Dancing Goat.
Yeah.
A little bit of the rye with that. Yeah.
All right. Yeah. There's a few of them that I think we tried. The rye with it was a really unique one.
Mhm.
Dancing Goat had some of their older releases. If you were there earlier on, I want to say there was a clamoring for it, but I know there was only one or two by the time I got there. But
Mhm.
you did get to try some 20-year-old whiskey, which is pretty exciting. And it sounded delicious. Hold on, I'm going to bring them back. We lost them just for a second. That's okay. They're back again.
it's just bad.
Yeah, that very old goat was crazy. You know, I'd had the lower proof version of that, their first release. So this was the subsequent release that was the higher proof. It was wow.
Yeah.
Pretty
Mhm.
cool. And all their finished stuff,
Oh.
really good stuff to try. And that they've got a new bourbon. I think it's just out. That was really good too.
Oh, I see Spencer's having he's sipping along with a Del Bach that's sherry finished. I'm a little jealous.
Yeah.
That's a nice
So
one.
I have
Yeah.
a question for everybody because
Yeah.
so the next morning we went on a mission to try to find the Natural Spirits Cantaloupe Cream Liqueur.
Why
Problem
haven't
was
we
we had jinxed ourselves because we had talked about it so much, wanting to get some of that, and could not find that stuff. Couldn't find it anywhere. We were striking out left and right, but I did end up getting a couple of things. But the things that I got none of it was whiskey. I bought a bottle of vodka. I brought the spiced pear. I bought the hibiscus when we went to Star Liquor the night before, and met Adam, which was delightful. And then and I refreshed my Death's Door gin. So I did not get one single whiskey while I was there.
I was going to say that Natural Spirits, I believe Craig, the guy working there, I think he might have been the only guy working there for a couple of days. I think he forgot to put it out. They did find the case that was set aside for us, and they were supposed to be selling it, but I think when I saw him the next day, he looked like he had been, I don't want to say wrong, he looked like he'd wiped. You know how it is in the middle of the week, and you can see the look on someone's face.
Yeah, it's great because we were grilling him.
Could have been. But I was going to say, but
like, where's it at? Where's it at, Craig? Craig, where's the Natural Spirits? Where's the Natural Spirits, Craig? Where is the Natural Spirits, Craig? I don't know what you're talking about. Yeah, no, we asked him repeatedly.
I know that's been addressed since that moment. But yes, so that there are some things like that we hope that distributors will be on top of on a weekend like this. That's like we were talking, Mike, about something like yours, where it's like, okay, it is here. There's no questions asked. You can walk here and grab it and walk out. But there's, I don't know. The next morning we went around. We stopped at two places, but no, I didn't pick up a whiskey this time either. I guess you're right. There was a hibiscus liqueur I got to bring home, and then it was a vodka for sherry. So that was about it at the moment, because I didn't want to go. I don't know. Sometimes you go places you get too excited, and you only get too excited, and all of a sudden there's hundreds of dollars leaving. Like on my trips to Kentucky, obviously you go to Three Boys, you go here, you go here, you go here. All of a sudden you got 10 more bottles, and you don't know what happened. Not that there's anything wrong with that.
It's in the vacation budget. Like that's
right.
It's part of it. Like,
that's true. Okay. You got to budget a little.
Right. Like room, $100 a night. Food, $50 to $100 a day. Bottles, $200 a day. Like you gotta find your priorities.
That's true. So, was there anything else that you guys went out and sought out before you guys left town? Or did you guys went to Wollersheim the next morning, didn't you?
Yes, there were some bottles that left Wollersheim with us.
Yep.
They were actually selling some of the yeast experiment bottles. They had them bottled. They were there at the gift shop, and you could get them. I got the third one. The one you were talking about, actually. That's the one I liked too. It was like D103 or D113 or something.
Yep. I was like, yep, I like the spice on this one. I don't.
Yep, me too. That was
like normally I'm a fruit guy, but damn, that's good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then we did our Woodman's trip, and then we also stopped at Dancing Goat on the way home.
Mm-hmm.
A busy day.
We did.
Yeah.
Made sure the Robinsons got to see a couple highlight.
Yeah, and shout out at Matt at Wollersheim. He was very gracious at the event, and then the next day at Wollersheim, took us around. Got a impromptu tour. It was pretty nice.
Very nice, yeah.
Yeah, we walked in, and Matt's standing there, and we were walking through the gift shop, and Matt walks up. Hey, you guys! I remember you from yesterday. And hey, you want a tour? Come on in here. And
Matt seems like that type of guy. I like that.
It was great.
Yeah. Like every time I see him, I'm like, you know what? I wish I had your enthusiasm. I like you. You got a little pep every time I see you. I like it. But I was gonna say,
I know.
What?
I was gonna say I ran into Pat on Sunday on our way out of town at Star Liquor. Like Morgan and I went in there to be like, all right. I was like, I just want to go to this one place, and then we can drive the 8 hours home. I'm really sorry, babe. Like we were in there, and I was just like, all right, like this is it. If you see it and you want it, like we got to get it now, or forever hold your peace. And then Pat showed up and was like, hey, we need to leave. Oh God.
Well, I only made Adam try a few things. I wasn't interfering with the day too much, but there's stuff I thought they needed to try, and we hopefully might have at the next Distill America in one form or another. We'll get some of that moving. Oh, yeah, there was a little bit. Hold on here. After the event, Mitch put on an impromptu. Mitch and Morgan put on an impromptu
put on the first one. Right?
Yeah, she did. Morgan just jumped into.
So Morgan's brother owns a distillery, so she was like, "All right, I can talk about this," and I was like, "Oh, that's."
She did great.
She did.
Yeah.
Very impressed.
Yeah.
The way she did, I would have thought she was a rep. And obviously, it's your brother, but there's a point where I was like, "Well, you really know what you're talking about on all these." And I'll be honest, I can't remember which one because I had them earlier in the day before we went, Mike. But it was the rum, wasn't it?
Oh yeah, that
It
rum.
was
the rum.
Good.
There was more than one rum or rum adjacent spirit.
Yes, but it wasn't it was a Dunder rum, but it wasn't the rich, thick Dunder rum. It was like the lighter one, and I liked that one.
I thought it was amazing. Yeah, I loved that rum. Their American single malt I thought was really good.
Mm-hmm.
Like just enough coffee malt in it to give it that like coffee chocolate backbone without it running over everything. But
how many different things did she have? It seemed like it was about 8 or 10.
I think 8. That's what I was thinking.
Could have been 8. There was I went before. I know we tried like 3 or 4, and I was like, okay, just hold on. You know what it is, like an hour before, you're like, I'm all excited and going. It's like, no, we're getting in early too. You just gotta slow down, calm down.
It's hard because like when I looked down and it was half an hour until they closed, and I thought it was like 3 hours before they closed, I was like, oh, I have spent my time incorrectly. But I don't know what I would have done differently. Like, should I have gone to more booths and talked less, or should I have talked more and gone to less booths? Right? Like,
you just go and do whatever happens. I was not, to be honest with this one, I was not as focused as I normally am about chatting with everybody at booths. I was more like, hey, hi, what's up? And then over here, and just I was bopping around too much. I was unfocused on this trip.
Our mission was to try everything that we can't get here. So
we still didn't make it, so we got to go back.
We're gonna have to go back.
And the Blom brothers had a couple other things with them this year too. I think they had their cigar right away, and I really liked their cigar rye.
Yep, had that right away too.
That's one that I was like, ooh, I always like that one from them. It's got a nice. It came out last year. It just has a nice, robust flavor to it. So yeah, and that's why I like going to Kentucky for some things. There's a lot of smaller. I mean, hell, you guys have 1 million distilleries. You walk down a road and there's 5. It's ridiculous. But you got to try all 5. You never know who's going to have the right stuff. So that's the good thing about going to some of the festivals there. The same way is that I think that's a good thing. I just wish there were more places in the country that had good events that you wanted to go to, because I could center my summer around going to 2 or 3 events like this. You know, like, okay, we're going here this weekend. You get to see the city. You get to go to an event. You get to taste a bunch of stuff regionally that you probably don't get to normally. I'd love to see one be in Charlotte, or that southern region down there where you get ASW and all the ones down there. I would love to see something like that. But we'll see. I don't know. That's a dream. that's Patrick's pipe dream. Is whiskey events that are affordable and make you want to go travel to places to see stuff. So.
Yeah, Patrick, I think what you said, affordable, is key, because there may be, several events, but some of them are just ridiculously expensive by the time you get the ticket and then a room and everything else. So, Distill America was very reasonable.
When Mike and we looked at, was it New Orleans one? I think, or I don't know, was that or ADI the one year?
That was a ADI in New Orleans, yeah.
Like, shit, you need $1,000 just to show up. I'm like, that's not even the hotel. I'm like, that's beefy. I think it was like 700 and something. I'm like, see, and on that when I'm paying, maybe that's exorbitant, but I mean, if you're paying a higher price like that, for me, there's a certain level of expectation at that point that, okay, you better blow my doors off now. You know, I mean, they're better. I awoke to everything that happened if I'm spending $300 just to show up. And I don't like doing that because I do that with movies and other things. And then for me in general, it's just a letdown because I expect too much. I'd rather not expect anything and be wowed, or even be middle of the road and be happy, rather than going, I expect this and I got that. What? That, you know, not my issue. But no, Matt says the Indie Spirits Expo is in Chicago is affordable. I haven't gone to it, but what is that one in St. Louis? I think there's one in winter. It's around like my birthday or something.
It's from the St. Louis Bourbon Society.
And I think from what I gathered from that seemed to be rather affordable as well too.
I believe it is also, and I think that they limit the tickets that they sell, which is probably a good thing. But yeah, at some point, yeah, I like to go to it. I think it's I've only gone to 2 events of Distill America, but I think it's really hard to beat it as far as one of value for what you're getting, but also the whole attitude of the event and the people that are there. It would be very, very hard to beat that. I know we've talked about Bourbon on the Banks as kind of, along the same vein, but I think born and bred in Midwest, I feel like I can say this. Distill America, I think, is more Midwest chatty than Bourbon on the Banks, because people, they want to chat, they want to talk, they want to do this. Bourbon on the Banks is more, I don't want to say formal, but I think it's just a little more. There's something very Midwest about Distill America. It's like at 6:00, you expected everyone to do the Midwest goodbye, where you slap your knees and go, "Oh, time to go," and everybody leaves. But anyway, no, yeah, we were talking it up again afterwards to our friends that we met up with fishing, and we're like, "You guys totally missed out on this." And it was just a great event. I mean,
and they don't have to,
and their guys put on a great show.
And they don't have to, because it's May 18th next year. Done early, hammered out, so Fred and Adam don't have to listen to us. I love that.
That's right.
They didn't want to take any flack.
All right.
So I already like looked at it. I was like, well, where's the hotel room or something else downtown?
Yeah.
Which is beautiful about knowing this far in advance, because you can do something like that. And if you book your hotel room or place now, you'll probably have forgotten that you already paid for it. So it's kind of like off the books for the trip. It makes you feel better when you get to it.
Need that discount code early, Fred.
Yeah.
No, that's October 31st. At least traditionally it was 31st, like the first at like midnight is when I'm like, because I remember telling Sherry, I set an alarm one night. She's like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "Shit goes on sale at midnight. I'm not missing this." Like 11:50 alarm goes off, I'll be up. I don't even think I slept for it, but I don't know. It's neat to have something like that I feel like, still, like you said, Mike, it does feel Midwest. It does feel like people trying to get their product out rather than being a pitchman for it.
Yeah.
Because sometimes you get kind of that pitchy attitude from some of the places where you're trying to sell and not just tell me the story. I can make my own decisions. Tell me the story. It is more the realm I like to dance in.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I didn't realize it was that late. It's already almost been an hour. And I know everyone here is not in our time zone and has to get up in the morning. So I think it's probably about time to let people go. But before we do, I just want to say thank all of you for coming to Distill America. I really appreciate it. I appreciate you guys watching, the Robinsons and the Ewalds, and coming to it, and everyone in the chat, and people who did there, because it's a really fun event, and it's when you find something like that, it's something you want to share with people or make an event around. Like next year, I just want to make it bigger, or maybe throw a little twist in it where we do something to it. But I mean, it's neat to have something to look forward to. Like I said, for me, that's kind of the kickoff of the summer for me. And being in May 20th, it's the end of spring. It's like, oh, time to finally get excited and get out of the doldrums of, sorry, winter Wisconsin lasts a goddamn long time and it's gray as shit. That's just the way it is.
For sure. Kudos to Fred and Adam for putting together a spectacular.
Yeah, absolutely. Great job.
It shows for their effort.
Yeah.
Yes.
It really does.
Whatever. Yeah. The whole Scott and everyone else involved, you guys do just a fantastic. It's a fantastic event. It's one where I like to learn from it, and I think other people who are putting on events, if I were in that nature, I would say contact them, come to one, see how it's laid out, see how you can make it work, and it doesn't have to be all about you taking down a bunch of money. It can be about what's going on, and you can further everybody. So I love it, and I thank you guys for coming to it.
We had a
I'm
ball.
glad you-
Fred, we didn't get to meet you, but we are both drinking Dancy Goat tonight.
You did stop out there, so that's fair. Did they have any of that summer shanty that they distilled into like a moonshine?
Yeah.
That threw me off too. I was not prepared for that because I don't like summer shanty, but I like the moonshine.
That makes a great summer drink.
Yes, it does.
Yep.
I got one question though, because and I don't know, did anyone here do any of the classes at Distill America?
And then you do.
I forgot. I was having so much fun roving. I forgot about the classes. We did the first one. I mean, sat with you guys on the open.
Yeah. How was the super class? What did you guys all get to taste in that one?
We can't tell you.
No.
Yeah.
We're there was a very old Stitzel Weller to taste.
That's a nice one. At least you get a little something. That's a nice thing to try if you haven't had anything of that realm. Night, Chris. Good to see you. If you haven't, it sounded like there was a festival out in California from what he posted before. I think I saw that clamps up.
Ooh, gotta check that one out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not against going to California. I'm okay.
I'd love to see Chris though.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'd be okay with just going to the bar, his bar, and seeing him. I'd be okay with that being the weekend.
Just got to find that like Allegiant special or whatever, where it's $39 one way, and you just show up one day like, hey,
yeah,
I hear you sell stuff.
But I can't leave till next Thursday.
Yeah.
Yeah, get that one way ticket back.
Yeah.
Can I work for you for a week? You can need some dishes. What can I do?
Then you got to figure out how to ship it all back.
Yeah.
There's ways. So, but
there's ways because I'm working not too far from him in a few months out there.
Really?
Oh,
I didn't know you were adventuring.
And I'm planning a visit, and I already know I've already made my plans for how I will ship things back.
When's the visit? How come I don't know about
I don't know. I have to book it.
Anymore. What the hell?
I got to go out to Phoenix first, and then this is a work thing. I don't talk about work, but I got to go to Phoenix for work, and then I got to go to Modesto, which is not fun, but it's a couple hours up to Chico, so
it could bring some joy out. So
yeah.
But yeah, like I said, thank you guys for coming. I appreciate you guys doing that and giving it a chance. I'm excited to see everyone again next year. I enjoy the event. Everyone knows that watches the show we do. You should start scheduling it into your system, especially since you know it's next May 18th. It's easy enough to start doing that now. But from until next week, when we have our blind corn tasting, which should be pretty interesting. I'm want to see what people think about it. Shannon Hood will be with us next week for that as well too, provided Texas doesn't brick on the muley. They did one other time, so it's 50-50 with them.
I haven't looked this up, but this is homework for people too,
Oh,
because
homework.
I know for sure you can get Tattersall, because I hit them up first. I know you can get Tattersall from Ace Spirits,
Yes.
and Ace Spirits has opened up their shipping again to a lot of states, and they do have I think it's like, I want to say it. Well, there's offers up there for like $20 flat rate for whatever you order.
Oh, that's not bad.
But they had a Tattersall single barrel rye pick of theirs that is fun, funky rye. But there's a few things that I know that were at Distill America that they carry those brands at Ace, just because it's good old upper Midwest store.
I finally remember what it was. It was the toasted coconut aquavit that they had there.
Oh,
I tried that. Yes, that was
Wasn't it amazing?
wildly good.
I
Sorry.
would. I would. I don't think I had that one. That sounds neat. That's the thing about this is there's so much that's like, I don't want to say off the books, but for a whiskey person, but different spirits like the line of vodkas and aquavits and gins. It's just a lot to try, and you don't think you like something until you have someone's weird flavor of something that you didn't think they'd put together, and all of a sudden, holy shit, look at this. That's the best part, is going to grab someone. Hey, get over here.
I think we did that.
Yep.
Yeah, that's what I want to see from people, is like when you're sitting there, it's like, hey, what? Follow me. Okay. I've got a line on something. Get over here. Thank you everyone in the chat for being here. Thank you guys for attending and coming along, and we hope to see you again next year. We'll expand it, make it a little bit bigger. But remember, it's not the size of the end that matters. It's the love of whiskey. Cheers, everyone.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers.